Alright, today we're going to work on creating a new mod within Minecraft. I've deleted the example mod. It really didn't serve a lot of purposes there. You'll see though in your Forge project you'll have source main Java and source main resources. These are the two places where we're going to do most of our work. The rest of the stuff is just stuff that came in with the project. We don't need to worry about that. The Eclipse integration and all that. We just need to create our files here. One of the first things I want to do is I want to create a new package, and so I just clicked on, let me clear this off, the source main Java, and say I want a new package here. And the package name I'm going to create here is going to be edu.bradley. And then my BUID. Let me also my mod, or I might say CIS 452 mod. Okay, I have not tried using numbers inside of a module ID yet. On the package it will be fine. We'll get to that in a second. Clear out the package info. I don't really need that. The MC mod info, we can edit that later. This contains information on the mod that will be used by Forge when it gets displayed in the mod information. Don't need that right now. What I do want to do though is inside the package. So I have the package highlighted. It's a new class, and I want to create. And since I highlighted the package, it'll automatically fill in the package. I want to create a CIS 452 mod. Okay, so that will come in, and I'm going to create another. Class in here as well. That will be also in the same package, and that will be the reference. And it's just going to be also the strings that we're going to have that we don't want to have duplicated throughout the code. Inside the strings, there are a few things we need to have in here. So let me public static final. I'm making these strings public, static, and final because first of all I want them public so they can be accessed outside the class. I want them static because I'm not going to actually instantiate the reference class. I'm not going to create an object type reference. I'm just going to use these class member variables whenever I need to have a string. And since I'm using it as accessing it through the namespace, I can do that anywhere in my code. And so that's kind of a nice way of putting string constants all in one place. I can come back in here and change these at any time I want. The first string I want here is mod ID. And this should be all lowercase. I don't know about the whether numbers or anything should be allowed in here, so I'm a little hesitant to do that. But well, let's try it there. I'll just call it mod 1, although that's not a very CIS 452 mod 1. Mod 1. I'll put some underbar in there. I'm playing with fire a little bit right here. Hopefully this won't come back to bite me. Static final string, and this will be the name of the mod equals CIS 452 mod 1. Okay, so I don't think that matters what it is. That's just going to be for displayed. Public static. Got a block here on my desk that's keeping my hands at an odd angle. String version equals, it's a string that will just say we'll start at version 1. And next we'll list the accepted versions This will be the accepted versions of Minecraft in Maven format 1.12.2. The reason we list this in here is we're going to tag a particular mod as working with a particular version of Minecraft, and if Minecraft gets updated to a newer version, then this mod won't load. This means that the mod author has to, and that's us, we'll need to go back in, make sure everything's okay, and then change the accepted versions in order for the mod to work. This ensures that Minecraft doesn't change out from under us, causing our mod to crash Minecraft, break things, so that this is really more important if we're publishing our mod, so that our mod doesn't break everybody else's Minecraft installs. Okay, so at least ensures that we've built and tested it under this version of Minecraft, and from then on out, anybody who's using that version will be able to use it. We can list multiple versions of Minecraft in here, assuming that we're able to run under that. So I'll go ahead and save that up, and I'll go back over here to my mod class. I want to annotate this class. I want to put an annotation up here that first of all tells Forge that this is a mod. Now I saved that with the @mod. Now it doesn't know what a mod is there. If I click on that, I can bring in the Forge common thing that will give us that annotation. And then I just have to say mod ID, all lowercase, equals, and then I can say reference dot. It is not going to autocomplete for some crazy reason here, but it will notice if I type something wrong here. So name equals reference dot name. What is it? Okay, it is. I think I have something. Version equals reference dot version. Oops, all uppercase. Accepted Minecraft versions equals reference dot accepted versions. Okay, so it has accepted all that stuff without error, and so now we have a blank class here with the information in there. If I later want to go back and change something, like I suddenly find out that numbers inside of a mod ID don't work very well, I can go and just change it here. There are some pickiness in some of these things, like this should be all lowercase, but we'll find out if that causes any problems there. Alright, so now we're going to talk about what goes inside of it. Alright, so one of the first things I want to do is I want to create a static instance for my class here. So this is going to make it a singleton in names there. So I'll say @instance, and then I'll say public static CIS 452 mod instance. Now I'll click on this and say it'll have to import instance from, so that came in there. Alright, so now it has that instance variable in there. We'll need, of course, to set that at, actually Forge, I think, will set it. When it loads the mod, it will store the instance in there. So I don't think we need to actually set that. What we will need to do, though, is to load up some proxies. Now, I talked about this in class where we have a server and a client that are running the same code, the same Minecraft source. So it'll launch two of these things. Some code needs to run only on the client, some only on the server. How do we do this? So we talked about creating an interface. And that's a good thing to do here pretty soon, is to create that interface, and then we will need to use that interface to create a variable that will be loaded by Forge when it starts the mod up. Okay, what it will do is it will take, not only put the instance of the running class here, but we will it will indicate whether it's a server or a client, and we can store that in another variable here. So that's so let's talk about how we're going to do that. Okay, I'm going to create another interface. The risk of going interface crazy here. And I will, another package rather, have interface in my mind because that's where I'm going to go with this. And this will be the proxy interface. I really don't need to have that package info Java in there. The proxy interface, I will say new proxy package will have an interface in here called iProxy. And this will want to define what a proxy will be. This is because we have a server and a client that are both going to be running the same code, the same CS 452 mod.java is going to be executing the same code. Obviously, we don't want the client server to always be doing the same thing. Certain things will have to be done only on the server, only on the client. We could annotate each of those lines to say this is only server side or only client side, but a better way of doing that is to create this proxy interface, which is about what I'm about to do here. And I'm going to say two methods in here: register item renderer. I'll take an item, an int metadata, and a string of the name of the item. Oops, I forgot my semicolon. Public void register key bindings, and that won't take any parameters there. I will click on this to import the item from Minecraft item. Okay, that's what my proxy looks like. I'll go ahead and save that. Go back to, well, actually, while I'm in here inside this proxy, let's create a new class. And this is going to be client proxy. This is going to be the client side of it. And down under interfaces, I'll just add the interface and say iProxy. And it will find iProxy for me. Now, you see that just since I called it iProxy, it went ahead and added in the methods automatically for me, which is a perfect thing to do. So it has the templates in there. So now this will actually compile, and even though it won't do anything, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the server side of this. I'll Control S to save this, go back into my proxy, new class, and this will be the server proxy. Once again, add the interface, and iProxy is what I want. You're not going to let me just click on that. iProxy. Okay, we'll finish that, and the server comes in with its. Really change these defaults within Eclipse so that it looks a little bit more pleasing to me. Okay, so now I have a server and a client, both implement the same proxy. What I want to do is to tell Forge about these proxies, to tell that this is the server side, this is the client side, and since I'm going to, and of course I haven't told you this, but I'm going to create an iProxy reference inside my main program here, and I'll just refer to the reference, and I'll say proxy do this. Well, that will mean do it on the server side or do it on the client side, whichever you're running right now. Then I put whatever code I want to only run in the server side in the server proxy, whatever code I want to only run in the client side in the client proxy, and everything will run fine. Okay, so how do I tell it about these proxies here? I'll need to tell it what the classes are. So let's go back to my reference string here, and I will need to give it the names of these classes. So public static final string client proxy class equals, and then the full bradley.jh doran.cis 452 mod dot proxy dot client proxy semicolon. I'm going to go and copy that line. Oops, I hit undo that. Hit X, Control X instead of Control C. And so I have a duplicate. And this will be the server proxy class. And I'll just change that name to server. Go ahead and save that. Okay, so now I have both client and the server proxy class names there. I can go back over here to the main program, and I'll want to say at cited proxy. So that's the cited proxy annotation. Let me first of all go bring that in. Multiple markers. I thought you were going to want me to import the package here. Client side is going to be reference.client proxy class. Server side equals reference.server proxy class. Oops. And let's see, multiple markers on this line. I'm not sure what its complaint is here. At cited proxy. Looking at this very carefully to see if I maybe it's just because it doesn't have the other part here. Public static iProxy proxy. Okay. Import proxy. Bring that in. Import cited proxy. Okay, now it's happy. All right, so I just needed to have that proxy variable below us. All right, so just resuming the video here. I'm not sure why that thing got unimported. Import. All right, so we're good again. Now, what's missing after this is the event handlers. We have to tell the now we don't have to subscribe to an event bus for our main class. That's normally what we need to do if we wanted to receive messages or events at different times through the initialization phase of Minecraft. We can receive those automatically, but we still have to declare the event handlers, and we do that with a event handler annotation, which we have to spell correctly, and then we put a function down below it. The name of the function isn't as important as the parameters. Pre-init, I'm going to call it. The parameter is what's important. What is it going to take? It's going to take an FML pre-initialization event, and I'll call it event. Okay, so now at this point here, I can bring in the FML pre-initialization event and event handler. Okay, at this point, this function here will be called during pre-initialization. Now, it's important that we have the ability to hook these things, as we call the term hook. In other words, to register myself as a handler for these messages, so that things that I know need to be done during pre-initialization can be done all together. Every mod that has something that needs to be done during pre-initialization will be notified by Forge, and then it can do its thing. And then we'll do the initialization, and we'll do post-initialization. So that lets us give us a finer grain of ordering things. Okay, because I need to make sure that things that I use, like registries, if I'm going to use them, that they've been initialized and created before I start stuffing things into them. So that's why I need to delay certain things to a point in time where the assets that I need to use are already there. I similarly need to tell Forge or Minecraft certain things early on, so that when it does its initialization, all the information will be there. So some things I'm going to need to move earlier on. Now we'll talk about that a little bit later. It's enough just to have the handlers for right now. Let's get those in place so I just created 3 of these, and the name is going to change depending on the type here. So this one here is going to be called a init, and I'll just remove the pre from the initialization, and I'll take an initialization event. why is this rename method of pre-init? Sorry, I'm just having a little problem trying to figure out why this is a problem. Oh, it's because of the duplicate names. Okay, never mind. I won't let it bother me here. I will need to bring in the post initialization. I'm sorry, the initialization event. Okay, so import that, and this will need to be a post initialization event down here. So I put that in, get the error message, and then do the import. Okay, so now I have all of my things down here. So just to summarize, an instance variable that will be set once Forge starts, and it will be given a reference to this class, to the one object created from this class. We'll have a cited proxy here. So this proxy variable will be given an instance of an object implementing the iProxy interface. The objects that are created are named by these classes here. So client proxy class and server proxy class give us the fully qualified name of the classes that will represent the client and the server. Okay, those strings are defined here in reference, so they are client proxy and server proxy. And these are the things that we created earlier. They're just stubs right now, but these will be created and ran. I'm sorry, those will be created during setup. And so, as I've mentioned, there are going to be two programs that are going to be running concurrently once we launch Minecraft. There will be a server and there will be a client. The client's the visible part that we see. It processes input, it displays stuff up on our screen. We navigate through the world using the client program. The client program talks over a network. In this case, there will be a loopback interface to the same machine, but it'll talk over a network interface to the server. And the server will maintain the state of the world. It has a database, and it keeps track of where everything is. It resolves things, rules in the game like combat and stuff like that. So we don't trust the client, especially in a multiplayer game. Okay, we don't want the client to have too much authority. The server is what's going to maintain the integrity of the world. Okay, and that will become clear later on when we start doing things, that we'll need to make sure that we do certain things on the server so that they'll be recorded and seen by other players in a multiplayer world, or at least persist for the single player. So if I go and blow something up on the client side, it'll disappear and it'll look like it's blown up. If I save the game and reload it, no effect will be seen. It's unblown up because it wasn't persisted. Only the server can save that stuff. Alright, so we set up the cited proxy. We set up these event handlers which can handle certain things. We'll need to register stuff at various times depending on what we're going to do, what type of mods we're going to be doing. Okay, now we're ready to start doing some item stuff, which is kind of the point of this set of slides. The whole point of this first phase is to add some new items to the game, but we have to do all this infrastructure and stuff set up beforehand. Otherwise, we're going to make it very difficult for ourselves later on. We need to be able to have the message handlers and all the initialization stuff all planned out before we start making changes to the world. Now we can start making some changes to the world. So we're going to start by creating a couple of more packages for things. I think the items package that we're going to create was a new one. So I'll create a package, and this one I'm going to call knit.init because it's going to have some initialization stuff in it. I really don't need this package info, I don't think. I may regret that later, but I can recreate it if I need to. But what I do want is a class that will be for the for the items. Okay, so it will be inside the init package, and it doesn't need to extend anything. It can be a top-level class. This is going to be the items for the mod. Okay, so go ahead and create that, and we get this blank class here. What I want to do is public static. I'll create a list of item singular, because that's the Minecraft type. Call it items equals new array list item, and call the constructor. Okay, now a couple of things that are missing here. One is that we don't know what list. First of all, we need to import array list so that it has that. Second of all, we don't have the abstract list, so I think that's probably its next complaint. There's the abstract list. I think I brought in the wrong one too. Yes, I did. I accidentally brought in Java AWT. Okay, and that happens. I just delete the import. The error comes back. I click on this and oh, come on. It's having a little bit of a problem here because let me just save the file and see if it's okay. Now I want the one in Java util. Okay, Java util list. That's the one. Now it's going to need to know about item, and that's going to be in that .minecraft.item. Okay. So when the error messages got a little confusing, I just saved it with Control S, and that tended to update the state of the error messages in Eclipse with the file. So I got those straightened out. Now all it does is has a list to contain items. What I'll want to do is I'll want to have the items automatically add themselves to the list as they're created, because that way I don't forget to add them to the list. I won't forget to create the item, because that will be a pretty obvious thing to overlook. So that I'm not worried about. But to create it and then manually add it, it's too easy to forget that add state. So what we're going to do is create some classes to help us do that. And I'll create a package called items. I know I'm going package crazy here. But so this will be items plural, and oh, okay. Look, I don't need the package info. I really should just deselect that. It's not always selected by default, and for some reason this machine is doing that. A new class, and this class is going to be ItemBase. Okay, this will be a base class for items. Now, there already is an item class within within Minecraft. So, in fact, I'm going to want to extend that. So I'll just click on Browse, and I'll say Item, and I want .minecraft.item. So that's going to be the extending. I want to implement an interface too, and I don't have the interface. Why don't I make that interface? I think in class I forgot to do the interface, and then I went added it again. So you're going to see both of these. I'll just cancel this for right now. My interface is going to go into. I think I created a utility package for some things. Really, I think all this is going to have this IHAS model in it. Oh, I forget to turn that off. Okay, the utility interface. No, you go away. But what I will want to do is to create that's the utility package. I create the interface, and this is going to be IHAS model. The I for interface, so that everything is obviously it's an interface. Oops, I got that. And this is going to be for objects that have models, or in the singular, an object has a model. Okay, so it doesn't need to extend anything. The IHAS model will implement one method, is all we're interested in right now, and that's the registration. So public void register models. Okay, an object may have more than one model. I'll save it, Control S to save it. And now I can go back to my items package and create a class. Now this is going to be ItemBase, and as we said, we're going to browse it and say I want item to be the base class .minecraft.item. I also want the interface. I'm going to add it into IHAS model. So I just typed in IHAS, and it found that. Yeah, I'll say OK. Now, the important thing is it listed it down here. So I have the superclass, I have the interface listed, I have the name of the model. That's all I need to do. Finish. And see, it automatically added in the register models method. Okay, so no extra step there. Have I, like I did in class, forgot to do that, I'd have to type in implements interface, implements IAS model. Make sure you save the file. In fact, I'll do that again right now. And at that point, you should get an error message that says you didn't implement all the methods. And then one of the ways we can resolve that in Eclipse is to add the unimplemented methods, and then it would put in the stubs for the interface. In that case, the register models method would be added as a result. Okay, so we have the item base. Well, we have a skeleton item base. The item base needs a name. I'm going to make this protected because I intend to extend this later on. I'm going to have more than one specialized type of model. I'm going to start a specialized type of item. So I'll make this a protected string called name. I want the name of the object, of the item. The constructor, public item base, named as the same thing as the class, and it'll take a parameter of name as a string. Okay, what am I going to do with it? I want to save that parameter name into this variable name. And now I cannot do is I cannot say name equals name because that's redundant. And if I click on this name, it should. Oh, it's not highlighting in this version here. It did it in class. What it's really doing is this has no effect. It's referring to this name up here. If I want to assign it to the one down below, I have to say this dot name equals name. Okay, and now I'm not sure why in class on my notebook it was highlighting the matching variable. That was kind of a nice feature. I think I turned that off because it was highlighting too many things for me. So apologize for that, but at some point it was like you accidentally type a variable name or click on a variable name and every line would be highlighted. And it was just annoying, so I disabled that. But I could use it right now. Next, I'm going to set the unlocalized name. Now we talked about localization earlier, the class before last, and we said that localization has to do with translation of strings into a local language. Now, our local language is English. We speak English in this locale. Our locale is EN_US, which stands for English in the United States, as opposed to English, British, or probably UK. So one could have different versions of English depending on the region, so that certain things could have regionally localized names. I don't know that we really have a lot that would apply to here, but for example, we talk about elevators here in the United States. You talk about lift inside in England. You talk about truck here, but it'd be a lorry over there. So there are different word usages that are different even within in a single language, let alone considering the translating into another language like French or German or Chinese. Remember, Chinese has many different languages, so Mandarin, for example. So all of these different languages are going to have different strings. They may be in different character sets. Localization handles all of that. Java implements stave strings as Unicode encoding, which is a very wide character encoding scheme that can handle millions, if not billions, of symbols, unlike our very limited symbol set that we use in English. 26 letters, uppercase, 26 lowercase, some punctuation and numbers. You're around 100 symbols. Is enough to take care of English, where that doesn't scratch the surface of Mandarin, for example, with their tens of thousands of characters in the ideographs. So what we're going to do for localization is we need to provide an there is an interface provided within Java and within Forge, or I should say within Minecraft, for that localization. Minecraft can run on many different locales. The strings are translated appropriately. And so what we do is we need to save, when we're saving items, for example, we need to register them with some sort of a name, and we need to keep distinction between what name we're going to use in our source code. Like if I refer to an item by a particular name, I can give it some string just within the source code to refer to this item. But that doesn't mean that it's going to appear that way to the user. They will have a localized name. So I can call it cheese here for my block of cheese, but it would be fromage in French, and they would see, a French person would see it in their native language. The difference between localized and unlocalized names. So localized is what we're going to use in our source code when referring to things, and that particular name will also be used for the registry name. So in the item registry, it will have the same unlocalized name. They don't have to be the same, but there's no reason why they should be different. Okay, so it's perfectly fine to do that. Now the other thing that I did in class is I said mod items dot add this. Okay, so I said please take this new item, and now it's got a little complaint here. Let's see what it's complaining about. I need to import mod items. Okay, so I do that. Problem resolved. Okay, so this ensures that anytime I create an item through the ItemBase class, so if I say new ItemBase and pass in a name, it will automatically register itself with that string that I give it as its registry name, and the unlocalized name automatically add itself to the mod items list. And that's the function we have right now. The registration of models, we'll have to hold that off for a little bit. But what we're going to do is, before we add this code in here for registering the models, we'll need to look at what a model looks like. We'll need to actually create some of the definition of what a piece of cheese looks like. And that consists of a texture, which I have some textures I put up on Sakai for you to use. And you can easily add your own with your paint program. They're like 16 by 16 images. They're not very big, and they're not intended to be really sophisticated artwork. They're pixelated images, very low resolution, so that makes it easier to kind of create them, or harder. I guess it depends on if you like drawing things. The frustration of the low resolution may be a lot. We'll need to have the textures. We'll need to have some idea of the shape. Now, a lot of the objects in the game will have a cubic shape. Okay, there'll be a cube like the item blocks, and we can use those predefined shapes in many cases. Sometimes, though, we'll need to create our own, which we won't need to do for the cheese. We can go ahead and use the default stuff. Minecraft also has the ability to create item models from the textures. So we give it a picture of a piece of cheese, and it will create something, and it does a pretty good job of that. So we have but we'll need to talk about what it means to build a model, where all the assets get created, and then it'll make sense what we need to do with that information to do the registration. For right now, I just want to get this piece in now and save it off. And now, do we have enough to do something? Okay, now what I've done here is I've done nothing since I last paused the video other than build it through this button here. I said launch the Forge client, and it brought up Minecraft, and I clicked on mods, and here's the CIS 452 mod 1 in the list. The other example mod, I got rid of it because I wasn't interested in it. This does nothing of interest to us right now yet. I have no mod items created. I have no models created, but it does show that all of the pieces have at least compiled and are ready to be ran. So this is kind of where we left off at the end of Wednesday the 6th. And so I'm going to close that down and stop the video at this point. So you should be up to this point, and we'll pick up next time with this much code written.